Okay, I'm Ben, and I'm going to present to you why getting to know your teacher can increase your grades. Okay, so we've all been in a classroom, we've all been sat there in front of, well, with the teacher, but we don't know the teacher's name. The teacher is just Mr. Jones, or as I'll be next year, Mr. Rimmer. Nobody knows who the teacher is. But getting to know your teacher can have great effects on how well you actually perform in the classroom. Getting to know the teacher is something that doesn't really happen. I found a lot of times when I went into primary school, for the first time I went in there, I let the kids call me Ben, and it was amazing for them. I was just this like, we know a teacher's name. It was brilliant for them, and they were really engaged in everything I had to tell them. The second time I went in, I was Mr. Rimmer, and they treated me a lot more formally, like I was a teacher. Okay. Increasing the bond that you can have with students, though, increases their engagement in the classroom, as Skinner and Belmont found. When the students felt that they had more of an emotional bond, or more of just a working bond with the teacher, they're much more engaged in the topics that they were learning. Okay. And then, as Fuller and Skinner show, increased engagement increases academic performance. So if we can get the children to be more engaged and more friendly with the teachers, it's going to have positive effects on how well they perform in the classroom. Okay. Following on from that, engagement promotes motivation in students. So if the children are more engaged, they're going to be more motivated. Stepping away from extrinsic motivation, where you're offering rewards for performance and for how well they're going to do, we're looking at encouraging them to be more motivated to do it on their own. But this is going to only happen through getting the children more engaged in what they're doing. Okay. And again, better intrinsic motivation gives better academic performance. When the children or the students are more, what's the word I'm looking for? More inclined to do it on their own, they're going to perform much better academically. Okay. So what is the role of the teacher? The teacher is there, obviously, as a focal point in the classroom. They're there telling everybody the information, they're teaching you what you need to know. But what behaviours should they actually demonstrate in the classroom? Two different arguments I found for this were academic goal setting versus academic aims and objectives. A formal teaching style is academic goal setting, so the teachers will tell you what you want to learn, what you need to know, and how to do it. Which is great, it tells you what you need to do, and you're going to have to do it, you've got to get the work done. But is it actually very productive? Academic aims and objectives works much more sort of holistically almost. It's telling you what you sort of need to get to, where you want to be, but you're left to your own devices to get there. Having the more informal style of teaching has been shown to be more beneficial. So if I look at the next slide. Goal setting has been shown to decrease motivation, whereas telling students what is expected of them and helping with the time management and helping them more as people, not just as a teacher, increases their performance in the classroom and their academic performance as well. Okay. So, formal or less formal? I much prefer a less formal setting, but we are more used to, especially in early school and high school, a more formal setting or sitting in tables being taught what we need to know. So, because we need a less formal classroom and because we need to get people to know more about the teacher, and we've shown how that can actually have a beneficial effect on the classroom, especially with modern technology, what can we do with this information to make a more informal bond with the classroom and the teacher, so everybody sort of learns in a much more less formal way? And one way of doing that is Facebook. Facebook, as much as it's not really meant for teachers and students to interact, there has been a lot of research, there's been some research that's shown that Facebook and teachers and students' interaction can actually be beneficial. Teacher self-disclosure actually increases the way students perform. When the students feel they know the teacher as a person and not just as a teacher, they feel more inclined and more motivated to perform well. Okay? It allows students to see the teachers for more than just a teacher and more of an actual person, and you can see the similarities that there are between the teacher and the student. When the teachers act as themselves online and just behave as they are, it's seen as a positive thing by the students. They feel they know you, and they feel that they can actually come to you with more questions. The number of questions that were asked are increased, engagement in the classroom was increased, motivation was increased, and it had a positive effect all around on their academic performance. If the teachers, though, showed that they were this happy, funny person on Facebook, but in the classroom they're really stern and strict, it didn't work as well. The teachers had to be as they were in the classroom as they are on Facebook. Class participation, as I said, was increased, motivation was increased, engagement, and it was all due to teacher self-disclosure. The more the students knew about the teachers, the better they felt they could perform in the classroom. Okay, that was quicker than I thought. So to conclude, forming a student-teacher bond increases motivation, intrinsic motivation at that. It gets students more engaged, and as such, their academic performance is increased. So getting to know the teacher is not necessarily a bad thing, and it can help you in the classroom and with your academic performance. And that's it, I think. Yes, two, go for it.
I was going to say, that whole thing with teachers and Facebook, that seems very, very informal, and for a class size of like 10, I could understand it. Like, say, I had a friend that was in a private school, and everyone in the class knew the teacher very well. There was a lot of understanding, and as you said, getting to know each other. And I think that was beneficial, but in the kind of state high schools that I went to, there were 150 pupils
Yeah.
in a year group, so you just can't.
I think you got a good point there. If you've got a lot of students, it's going to be hard to get a bond up with all of them. But if, especially with smaller class sizes, smaller schools, maybe so much primary school almost, in upper primary school, if the students and the teachers had a better bond, they'd feel better to perform. And maybe even if it's early years in high school, or even if they had, like we have here, we have a personal tutor, if they had that sort of set up in a high school, you might find getting to know the teacher on a better level there might help you if you have them in a classroom for a subject, or if you had like a head of year that you could just befriend and get to know, you might perform better or feel more inclined to go to them with any questions or problems that you've got.
What about reducing the class sizes completely for everything? Just saying, actually, you need this bond, this is what is effective, so let's have...
If there was the money there, I think it would do it, but it's cost, isn't it?
I found in my schooling experience that it was on a continuum between how well you knew the teachers. Some teachers were very open, whereas some weren't. But the question is, where would you draw the line on that continuum? Because I know there's teachers that got like awfully friendly with the students. That,
there's a fine line.
Drawing lines, like for example, one English teacher started going shopping with year 11 girls and stuff like that.
I'd say that's probably too far. I mean, going shopping with them is maybe a little bit too excessive. But on the work level, I mean, like we see here in some of the Facebook groups, for example, I've seen Faye's in a couple of groups, and she'll chat with the students, and if there's any problems, they can go to it on there. That it's more informal than going to have a meeting with her, but you're still getting your problem dealt with. But knowing that way, knowing you can just get in touch with them whenever, as much as it might be a bit annoying for the teachers because they know that they can be contacted 24/7, you're still going to have that bond where you think, well, I can chat to her on Facebook, it'll be a bit easier to do it that way, and you can get instant feedback from other people as well. So. Yeah, there are.
And I must say that I think, social learning theory, and then you think, especially with younger kids model, authority speaking, and like, not really authority speaking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kids model their teachers. So, teachers are only humans, and I'm speaking from experience. My partner is a very good friend of a teacher, and what he does outside of the classroom is just, and how do you, what happens when the kids who are friends with the teacher see what they're doing on Facebook, and then...
Some of the research show that the teachers have a separate work profile. So on that one, they would maybe only put on small bits of information, just what they need to know in school, really. And maybe just a couple of statuses that show that they're off to school or when they've got school trips on, things like that, which they would keep totally separate from their personal profile, but it would still give the students a way to feel like they're more engaged with the teacher, but they would only see still an academic side to what they're doing, not necessarily going out getting really drunk on a weekend and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, just feeling that you know the teacher better than just as a Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so. You actually know them as a person, even if you aren't really showing them everything that you do.
Is there not an issue with age, like primary school children being on Facebook?
Yes, but there is some... Well, it was something that Sinead put in the blog a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that was an academic style of Twitter that was for schools to use. And I think it was a Facebook version as well, which was designed for use and solely for use in schools. Even though Facebook started out as just a university thing, this was designed for primary schools to use, and it wasn't for anybody away from the school. So it wouldn't put the kids on Facebook, it would put them on their own school's version of it.
And you say about self-disclosure, do you think that maybe self-disclosure too much?
Yeah.
And how would, like, I don't know about you, but say if you're in a classroom in high school and a teacher was to self-disclose when they've done something bad, or not bad, something they might
happy where you'd keep maybe an academic profile separate from a personal profile, so you'd only have the schooly bits on your profile, so you wouldn't show them like what you're doing externally. You'd only show them what they need to know, but enough to make them think that they know you as a person more than just a teacher. There's another question at the front, wasn't there?
Don't you think that students feel uncomfortable if authorities or the teachers will get in touch about the medium like Facebook? Or that they think it's more it should stay professional and not that sociable? Or
I think there's certain things which would need a professional level of interaction, but for, I suppose, more trivial matters and just to feel like you're part of more of a group rather than just a classroom, to have an informal relationship with the other students and the teacher as well will probably be beneficial, rather than just seeing the teacher as a strict person who just dishes out instructions. Anyone else?